On today's episode, we talk about how to change if you feel really stuck in your ways. If you feel like you can't get out of your normal thinking patterns and feeling stressed all of the time, I'm going to teach you the ways that you can begin today to retrain your brain to create new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling, and to finally start working with the brain's ability to change so that you can start feeling differently in your life today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Real Work Podcast.
Episode 13.
And we're going to talk about the brain. I love learning about the brain, dude.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I feel like I could put after my name like honorary neuroscientist.
Yeah?
That's how much time I've spent learning about the brain.
How do you become a neuroscientist?
I'm not sure. I mean, if I break down like the etymology, is that the word? Of the word? I bet it is the word. It's just a scientist that studies the brain. But I think neuroscience is fascinating. I think it is encouraging. And tell me, you saw like some post on what, TikTok? I don't think you showed me the post, but it was something about like this concept. It's a very well-known phrase that you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Neuroplasticity says that is wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
So what is it about the fact that people just get really set in their ways and their way of being, and people don't learn how to be someone different. I don't know when it gets set up and solidified, but they just keep that path until they die because it's who they are.
I think it's not that they can't learn new things. It's that they don't want to.
Yeah.
They think they want to.
Yeah. Or they just believe that it would be challenging too.
It is a little challenging.
Yeah, I made a TikTok the other day about meditation, and someone was like, meditation is hard. And I was like, most worthwhile things are.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of the matter. We've become too accustomed to effortless reward, I think, in our society.
Yeah.
And so we're getting payoff without much exertion. And I think when you want to change, you have to exert. But it's like, that's the point. Like, that's the point of life. I think we've lost the plot a little bit. And I think that we should be encouraged to change and to live better and to, improve and to set a good example for our children and to go further than our parents did. And like, I think that's exciting. But a lot of people are just like, sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, I think this podcast is about how to change when you feel really stuck in your ways.
Yeah.
And that's exciting because if you've been stuck in your ways for a long time and you have the ability to change or the desire, like you're really creating a new life for yourself.
Yeah. It really isn't a completely new reality. It's a new experience. And I think knowing that, it's very important that if you are hearing the sound of my voice right now, that you know that your brain is plastic, which means it's changeable, it is moldable. And whatever you have wired in, whether intentionally, unintentionally, based on your programming, based on how you were raised, based on your experiences, whatever that is not fixed. It's not your destiny for the rest of your life. It's very, very important that you know that. It doesn't mean we can just flip a switch and change everything instantly, but it should be encouraging to be like, no matter what you've been through, no matter what your experience has been so far, you do have the power to change your brain. Science is proving that again and again and again. And I think like, what a waste if we don't take advantage of that. Unless you're cool with wherever you're at and then just chill, just ride it out.
I've said this before too, but understanding the process makes it easier because I think people misunderstand what it takes to actually change their brain in the way they think. Mm-hmm. It's not a light switch. It's more like a hammer and a chisel,
Yeah. It's slow and it's steady and it's over time. And it's almost like that compounding effect that like you aren't completely seeing what's actually happening. And people hate that. Uh-huh. They hate it. They want to see physical manifestations that their 3D reality is changing right before their eyes as they do the work. Rare that that's the experience.
Yeah.
But if you have a good understanding about the things that rewire your brain and really reroute these circuits that have been so well, established in your brain, You have so much power. You can live a completely different life. Your experience can feel completely different, but it's going to require that you stop working based off of the default and that you really become an active participant in your life, which requires that we live intentionally, that we don't live constantly reacting from the old version of ourselves.
Yeah, it's hard because there's no like real reward when you wake up and, you know, you're not a completely different person after one night. So there's no like payoff. There's no arrival.
Yeah. Don't you think that people are getting like a little bit sick of the way we're doing things though? I know we talked about this like a lot on last week's episode, but like, don't you think we're kind of getting sick of it? Like it's starting to feel gross. Just like, I don't know, just the like, I don't have to work for anything. I can get anything delivered to my door. I can just have pleasure on demand. Like it's starting to flood everyone's system. And so I think I'm just hearing more people noticing that and being like, no, let's pull back. Let's pull off the phones. Let's get out into nature. Let's see the beauty of the world. Let's show up differently. Let's change things. Let's set a better example. Like I feel like I'm hearing that more and more. And we just really took the like ability to make amazing things happen instantly to the extreme.
Yeah.
And so any reverse of that is going to be the opposite of what you've been experiencing, which is not going to be ease all the time. It's not going to be effortless. It's going to be effortful, but it's also going to be so, if you can master the tools that allow you to change your brain and to wire in the behaviors and the emotions and the experiences that you want, you have won life. Like what could be more beneficial than that? Because what does it mean? It means you can create what you want. You can create what you want to experience, what you want to see. We all live in our own separate realities. You know that. We are all having such maybe similar experiences, but completely different experiences. You know that because you and I could be in the same situation and experience it completely differently. So I like to think in terms of what's worth my time. Like you and I talk about that. Like we are in our late 30s. When it comes to skills, when it comes to what we want to learn, when it comes to who we want to be, what's worth the squeeze here? Like, because we are very familiar with what it takes to change, and it's not easy. It does require a lot. So like it's weighing out what matters to me.
Yeah. I'm constantly thinking about that all the time. And a filter that I run it through is when I'm 60, what will I regret?
Yeah. Oh, do you remember the TikTok that I just sent you?
Yeah.
Because I'll mess it up. Do you remember what she said? She said a lot of people when they're 30 think about the fact that it's too late to start something new. Yeah. But if you don't start something new when you're 30, you miss out on the ability to be 60 with 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
That's good, guys. That's really good.
Yeah.
So like we're not 30. I'm 36. He's 39. But you know, by the time we're 60, 20 years of experience of doing something, it's like, it's excellent news that wherever you're at right now isn't fixed, no matter how stuck you feel. You can change your brain.
Walk me through it.
Let's walk through it. Okay. So we talked slightly about neuroplasticity. The brain has the ability to change, but you're going to be very familiar with who you've been. And if I were to ask you what you want to change, you're going to come up with all the shit you hate about yourself and who you don't want to be anymore. And I don't want to do this. And I don't want to be spending my time this way, spending my effort on people like this. It's always going to be negative. Framed in the negative. And that's kind of like the brain's job because it's constantly looking out for threat. So it's also important as you embark on all of this that you know who you want to be. And yes, we can use who you don't want to be as the guide. But the women that I work with, I've noticed a lot of similarities between them. So I'm kind of going to work from that place because this is just the kind of the work I do day in and day out. The women that I work with, they want to be calmer. They are really used to living in, they're so sick of the chaos. So we know that you want to be calm. You don't want to be living in this state of constant survival mode, running around like a chicken with their head cut off, being able to slow down, breathe, be in the present moment. I think this is an excellent goal. And I think we're all capable of it, even if it seems so unfamiliar to you. And I'm just going to talk about a couple things and then we're going to get into some ways, because there are some things I've even thought of that I don't really have planned in this episode. But the second one is a trusting version of yourself. Every woman that I speak to lately, she just doesn't trust herself. And I heard a really good quote the other day. It was like, the opposite of fear isn't calm, it's trust. So the opposite of like being afraid all the time isn't being calm all the time. It's trusting yourself. It's being able to know, I can handle this. I am strong. I can figure this out. I am resourced. But we kind of have to reteach that to ourselves, because if you live in constant fear or constant panic mode, you don't trust yourself to figure things out. And chances are you have figured everything out up until this moment, but we need to build that trust. Someone who is creative and joyful. Everyone I've been talking to lately completely just has lost touch with that person. You and I have conversations about that a lot. Mm-hmm. Life gets serious. You get into relationships, you have kids, you build a business, or you have a job, and all of a sudden you're just like, I don't know. Every day of my life looks exactly the same. I'm tired by the time I get home. I'm rotting on my phone. I don't do anything just for joy because I don't have time, and it feels too. What's the point of that? And so it's prioritizing connecting back to the fact that you are a creator. You are an artist somewhere. You are here to create and to show your gifts and what you have to offer with the world. And maybe that's on a public stage, and maybe it's just within your own family. Maybe it's just with yourself, but that is who we are. And we've lost touch with that version of ourselves. And then the last one is just someone who honors herself and lives from a place of alignment and trusts that she'll know where to go next. So all these things really do wrap in together, but you'll notice a lot of them are based on how we want to feel. And for most of our lives, we've been chasing external things to give us what we want to feel internally. And what we've found and learned in all of everything we've been studying over the last year, and for me, the last 15, 20 years, is you can't wait to have something external before you feel these positive feelings. It's very important that you cultivate these feelings first, and we will talk about that within the realm of neuroplasticity and brain rewiring. But those are the patterns that I've noticed of what we're lacking and what we want. We just want to feel better. We want to feel peace. We want to feel aligned. We want to feel trust. And that is what I work with clients on every single day. So we'll get into that. But okay, let's talk about, these are the three things I wrote down. You may have some different ideas of how you work with your brain and rewire using the gift of, like, how cool is it that someone was like, wait a second, I need to figure out who figured this out, mm-hmm. that we can change. You'd think as an honorary neuroscientist, I would know this, but I'm going to find out. Where it's like, oh my God, it's not fixed. It wasn't just wired this way and you're stuck that way forever. I just think that's the best news. So this is something that I go over and over and over and over in my course Rooted within my coaching membership. It is the difference between reacting and responding. This is huge, because it makes the difference between living into the old wiring, whatever has been your experience, and creating new wiring.
How does this relate to change, though? Well,
you don't change if you continue to live in reaction. Reaction means default mode. It means automatic. We even have a setup in our brain called the default mode network. Like, our brain is set to set it and forget it.
Yeah.
It is not set to keep everything conscious. That would exert too much energy with our brain. So we can't be actively thinking about everything we want to do. It notices patterns. It notices what you repeat. And I want to teach you in this episode how to use that to your advantage. Unfortunately, we're setting and forgetting shit we don't want to do and people we don't want to be. And so when you aren't acting intentionally and making those decisions on purpose, your brain goes, I already know what we have already done for a really long time. I'm just going to go ahead and fire and wire those circuits. You're going to wake up. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to start complaining. You're going to get ready. You're going to do everything you normally do the exact same way you normally do it. You're going to head to work. You're going to, complain about your boss. You're going to resent your work. You're going to get home. You're going to be so exhausted. And then you're going to go to sleep and you're going to do that over and over and over again. So our lives start looking exactly the same from day to day.
The hardest part about that is just noticing it, I think.
Yes.
Because you're on default. And once you recognize it, you're like, oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Because it's happening so automatic that you're just like, oh no, I didn't really even notice. And so sometimes the awareness feels painful. It feels like, oh no, I do complain all the time.
Yep.
Like Ryan and I the other day were like, let's try and go a whole day without complaining. Number one, we didn't do well at all.
The second I started driving, dude, I just out in this town that has traffic everywhere, I just immediately started spouting stuff.
Yeah. You start paying attention. You're like, oh boy. and don't get discouraged by that. Just know that, wow, my brain does a really good job at like just firing these same circuits. I don't even have to think about it. And that should encourage you, because if we can wire something new, you also won't have to think about it anymore. The default will be what you want.
Dude, I spent the last couple of years being mad about the kitchen being messy.
Yeah.
And once I recognized that, I was like, oh, I'm making myself miserable.
Yes.
And I have learned to kind of live in, like, be okay with the mess for 24 hours.
He's like, listen, the mess hasn't changed, but I'm feeling better. I'm feeling happier.
And to some people's standards, it's not even messy at all. But like, I don't rush to clean it anymore. I let it be messy overnight sometimes.
Couldn't do that before.
And I feel so much better.
Yes.
And I clean it when I want to clean it.
Yeah. And you notice that was just a default. And when we notice that we have those defaults, we have to be like, okay. And I'm going to do a whole episode on this because I can't stop thinking about it. This is a huge expenditure of my mental energy. And it's making me miserable. So I need to ask, where did this come from? Whose idea was this? That this is something that's a non-negotiable, that like, if it's not the way I want it to be, I'm going to exert a lot of emotional energy in the form of frustration and anger. Do I want to keep exerting that energy in that way? Because it is a drain on you, and it has you feeling terrible. And then it has you sending that energy out into the home. And it's just like, okay, let's my reaction is anger and frustration. What do I want my response to be instead? And then you started practicing that response to the point where, like, I'm sure you have thoughts every once in a while that pop up that are like, damn, it's messy in here, and I don't want to clean it right now. So now I have to balance, is it okay to just go to bed like that? So I also want to say that there shouldn't be an expectation that those thoughts and those suggestions and those old pathways never pop up. I think they do.
For sure.
You know, but they'll come up as like light suggestions, kind of like a reminder of who you used to be. And you're just like, nah, I don't use my juice on that anymore.
There's a different processing though when they come up.
Yes.
It runs through a different processor than it used to. Or should I say, before, it didn't run through a processor. It was default.
Instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's happening outside of our awareness. So now it actually comes into your awareness as a suggestion. And that's when it gets really cool. When you're someone who struggled with, I don't know, just thoughts that you don't want to have, anxious thoughts, angry thoughts, any thoughts that are creating an emotion you don't want to feel. It is so nice when you do enough brain rewiring that they come up merely as a suggestion, and you see them, and you're able to be like, I don't even flow. So it doesn't matter. I work with so many women who are so upset about their thoughts and the consistency of them and the intensity of them and the frequency of them. And I just want my brain to shut up. And it's like, yeah, your desire to want your brain to shut up is why it's so loud. And as you do some rewiring, then you get these suggestions, and it's like, hey, you should do this. And you're just like, it may as well not even exist, because that's how little attention I give it.
Yeah. And can I make a suggestion before you start diving deeper into the stuff?
Yeah.
Pick something small to show yourself how to do it first.
Like, give an example.
A
Like
messy kitchen is such low stakes.
Yes.
It is not
changing,
life altering.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And play around with it. That's a good way to like use what we're going to talk about as just a way to mess around. I love the way Dr. Joe talks about it. He talks about life as an experiment, and he's like, you're living in the experiment. And the thought is, now he's talking about meditation, but apply this to anything you change. The thought is that if you change something in here or in here, something is going to change out here. Now, remember, I already talked about how we're always trying to change something out there to change something in here. We want to shift it to changing your inner world to change your outer world. So the goal is that if I can change a perception, if I can change something inside of me, a reaction, if I can do that, then when I look outside, I'm going to see a different world. It's going to be the same world, but I'm going to see it differently. Yes, exactly. You're just like, oh, changing the filter, changing the lens. And so I encourage you to see it from that way, and to stop exerting all your energy trying to change everything outside of you and what you see, and know that like Dr. Dyer says, rest in peace. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Okay, we're doing this reverse. You got to stop changing the 3D external. You need to start changing what's going on inside. Okay. So why does it matter that you start practicing responding instead of reacting? Because pausing creates a new pathway for you. The pause is the most important thing. Even if you make a choice that you don't want to make, pausing still interrupts the pathway. Again, this is something that I talk about so much in my course because it is imperative.
Don't you have a whole lesson on it?
Yes. And I tell you at the beginning of the course, you're going to hear some repeating concepts here. This is one of them that I would say repeats the most. It's like your power is in that pause. Your power is in the space. The space is the space to choose something new. You're going to have a trigger and you're going to have a response, or you're going to have a trigger and a reaction. The goal is to have a trigger, a pause, and a response. Response to me means choice. You're going to feel like most of what you're doing doesn't have choice behind it. It's just happening so fast, you don't even know what happened. We want to break that up. But that's hard. It's so hard to... Doesn't matter. It's necessary. You must slow down enough to create that space. I don't want to hear it's hard anymore. I'm just sick of hearing it's hard. Then don't change. You know what I mean? It is hard. It is going to require something of you. And by hard, I just mean challenging. I mean, it challenges what already exists. It's going to push up against what's familiar and natural. That's okay. It's okay. And it's worth it. Space must be created. I'm moving so fast, I don't even know. Slow down. If you can't find the pause, you have to slow down. And if you can't find the pause, that tells me you're moving way too fast anyway. And I get that. That's me too. So that awareness that you have that we talked about, the part that's kind of painful, that is the first interruption. So the awareness slows you down a little bit to be like, oh my God, I noticed that the second I get in the car, I'm talking shit instantly. Yeah. Okay, that awareness, kind of painful. Owie, I didn't know that this is kind of who I am. I have that awareness now. When I get in the car, I'm going to bring that awareness to what I'm doing, and I'm going to practice putting some space before I react. And I'm going to say, oh, is this worth spending the mental currency of my energy on it? Okay, so that would be the most important thing. But what I'm kind of talking about today are more like the fun things that you can do versus is what I'm going to get into. But you can let me know, because I know we use some other things. But the second thing I want to talk about is mental rehearsal. It's very, very important that you understand that the brain does not know the difference between what you're imagining and what is real.
Are you talking about affirmations?
If you believe them, yeah. And most affirmations don't work because they don't have the energy and the emotion behind them. So the reason why you need to get your thoughts and your emotions on the same page, because your thoughts, so imagine you're like, I am abundant. I have all the money I could ever need. And you have this part right here in your solar plexus. It's like, no, you're not. You're a failure. You're stupid. And no one likes what you have to offer. And unfortunately, what you feel in your body is your body is your subconscious mind. I know we're getting deep here, but it is. Your body does keep the score. It does speak very loudly. It's going to be the sounding board for what's going on in your mind. And so when you're sending words out your mouth, or you're having thoughts inside of you, and my dog is here to join us, and you're saying that, but your emotion is very deep doubt. It's very, fearful and doubtful and whatever, it doesn't match up. So it's not necessarily affirmations, but I'm not saying affirmations don't work. There just has to be a belief behind it. I've heard of so many studies and so much over the last year as I've been studying this of people who they imagined things in their mind. They felt the emotions of how it would feel. Meditation can be great for this. Walking and talking can be great for this. There are so many things where you really have to practice putting yourself in the state of the version of you that you want to become. Journaling is great for this. Meditation is great for this. And remember, not from a forceful energy, but from an explorative energy of like, what would it be like to have financial abundance? What would it be like to have all the money that I need, to have the success that I want, to have the connections that I want, the relationships that I want? And that can be very, very hard when your brain is locked in and always focusing on what you don't have. Yeah. You can't constantly be living in lack through your beliefs and then hope that like you saying some affirmations is going to be enough.
Yeah.
Trying to get this dog up here. Because I know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm surprised she wasn't here already. So you want to practice being that version of yourself that you're becoming and have fun with this.
It depends on what you're doing, but like for me in certain things, it's harder than other things.
Like give some examples.
It's hard for me to live in the emotion of somewhere I'm not, because 3D reality, my environment shows me that I'm not.
Yeah, there's a reason why what you'll hear most on TikTok, I guess if you're on the side of TikTok that I am, is like living delusionally.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because we're delusional already. We're just delusional in the wrong way. Another thing you'll hear is gaslighting yourself. Well, you're already doing that. You're gaslighting yourself into living a lower version of your life. You're gaslighting yourself into not making enough money. You're gaslighting yourself because of the beliefs that you have. The beliefs that you have aren't true or false. They're just what you believe. And what you believe determines your experience that you have.
Well, if I, for example, don't have enough money, that's not a belief. That's a fact.
What's enough money? You have to work at the root of that. You're looking at your reality to determine your beliefs instead of knowing that your beliefs will help you create a new experience of your life.
I wouldn't say I'm gaslighting myself into believing I don't have enough money. It feels like my reality.
Well, it's about your possibility of being able to create more money. You know, it's kind of like someone who walks around and picks up a quarter and is like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. They're living in a different experience than someone that is constantly thinking about how they don't have enough. It's a choice to believe things based on what you see. It's a choice to look at what you currently have and say, this reflects who I am and what I'm capable of. So spending time journaling, I like doing mental rehearsal journaling. I like doing verbal journaling where I'm talking about what it would be like when I have what I want. We like doing meditation, which includes visualization, because that's kind of how you meditate primarily, right? You meditate with some visualization in there.
Yeah, but the entire point of all this stuff is to drum up a feeling inside your body.
Yes. Yeah. And what I'm saying is the more committed you are to like, it's so hard for me to create a feeling before I have something in front of me giving me this feeling, then it's going to be impossible. Because we work off of the belief that we must have the thing in front of us before we allow ourselves to feel anything. Like, I'm so happy because I have the job offer, but like nothing changed. I mean, it's so interesting to play. I know we're kind of getting a little bit off course here, but it's so interesting to think about. I've seen cool TikToks that are like, if someone told you like, hey, you just won $1 million, it's going to be deposited on Friday and it's Monday. But they're like, here's the confirmation. It's literally just processes. This is how long it takes to process, but it's going to be there Friday. How different would you feel in your life? Knowing, and it's just a thought. You just had a thought. You just have a belief. You just have a knowing. And on Friday, they could be like, never mind, you don't have it. But for those 5 days, you would have felt what? And that just shows you the power of the brain. It doesn't know the difference. As far as you are concerned, that $1 million is yours. You're thinking of how you would spend it, what you would do, how life is going to be so amazing. You're living in that feeling before the experience. And that's something we have to get better at doing, because our brain, it doesn't know the difference. And we continue to live in the experience of our expectations and the expectations of our belief. And that's a really good way to stay where you're at. So it's challenging, but the practicing the version of you that you're becoming and feeling that is what makes it stick. And it depends on how like quantum physics you want to go. But if you want to go like the basic, how the brain works without getting into all that deep stuff, it's like your brain has a part in it called the reticular activating system. And that is the part of your brain that determines what gets filtered through. It filters through based off of your beliefs. So there is stuff that you're missing in your environment, ways to make more money, relationships that are right in your circle of friends, all kinds of things that are right in your awareness. But because of your beliefs and your perceptions, you quite literally do not see those things. They are not real for you. They are not in your reality. They are not options. They are not available to you. You literally do not see them. Because your brain has to decide what to filter out. And when you're like, I am someone who never has enough money, your brain's like, I'm going to show you everything related to that. You are going to miss opportunities. You're not going to have the idea to have a conversation with your boss. Those things won't even exist to you. Got it.
A good example of this, and I remember back in 2012, before we bought that FJ Cruiser.
Yeah.
And I became interested and wanted one.
Yeah.
And I started seeing FJ Cruisers everywhere.
Yes.
They were always there.
That's the example they always use. It's like you decide you're going to buy a car and then you see that car everywhere. The car was always there.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to understand about reality. The opportunities are there. The money is there. The experience is there. The feeling is there. But we get so caught up in our physical experience and based on our past and based on our beliefs that we do create what we experience. And there are other experiences that are waiting for you, but you have to be open to the fact that what you see right now is just based on what you've been believing and what you have seen as possible. And also the dominant emotions that you spend most of your time in. Unfortunately, most of us are spending our time in fear, doubt, hopelessness, overwhelm, anger. And then we keep creating more of those experiences.
We're just buzzing in stress.
We are buzzing in stress. And that's like, I'm so passionate about helping people get out of that because it ruined my life. It ruined my life. And if your life is ruined or is on course to be ruined, I want to help you too, because I got to a place where it was so dark and so hopeless. And that was my reality. That was the place that I was living from. I didn't know there was a difference. And if there was a difference, it wasn't available for me. Well, not based on me. I'm different and I'm special and I have all these things. And like, let me tell you about all my trauma and everything that I've been through and all the reason why I'm not okay. That was mine. That was mine if I wanted to keep it. So I love learning about our potential as humans. And as someone who went to the depths of hell as far as the darkness, it's so cool to see the other side of that and to be like, oh, what's possible? And there's so much potential here and I can change and I don't have to live like this. Even if I've lived this way my whole life, you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can, if you want to learn, if the dog wants to learn the new tricks.
If it has the desire to.
Yeah.
You know, you can motivate a dog with food very easily.
Birdie still doesn't know how to sit. She's 5. So
I bet you we could teach her.
We could teach her. Maybe we should teach her because her brain can change
She
too.
only knows how to lay down.
And she's not good at that. I tried to have her lay down for a treat. She kept popping up, rolling over on her back. She's not doing great with that. But it's good to know that you can change, and it's good to know what goes in to change, and it's fun to change. And sometimes before you can get to the fun stuff, this is again something that I go over in depth in my course, is that like you might need to do some regulation first. Okay. A lot of you are really stressed out and you're moving way too fast and there's a sense of urgency, and we need to bring some softness and some stillness. And maybe stillness is even too much for you right now, but some softness and some slowing down and just enough calm to be able to start doing the brain rewiring. I think a lot of people and a lot of what is taught in the self-help world is a lot of top down, a lot of cognitively based, a lot of like, let's rewire your brain, but your body and your nervous system are so out of whack. So I really recommend to all of my clients an order here. Like there's an order that it needs to go into, and that's the way that I've structured it. So just a gentle but firm reminder, if you are suffering right now and you resonate with what you hear on this podcast, I have a coaching membership. The price is very low. I want to help you. It's the way that I help people get out of this suffering and rewire their brain and regulate their nervous system so that you can have a different experience. And you can have these moments where you're involved with your kids and you're present and you're creating and you're enjoying your life. You don't have to live in this stressed out fight or flight mode anymore. Survival mode is not the only mode available, no matter how stuck you feel.
I discovered this week how regulating creativity is.
Yeah.
And it almost did act like a switch. Something happened where I was triggered. I don't remember what it was.
It was me.
Okay.
The piano, right?
Yes. I sat down at the piano. I made it sound like so pretty. It's like this soft piano sound I have with lots of reverb, and it sounds like cinematic.
Yeah.
And I was just noodling on it.
And I came in too. And
I was noodling on it, and I was not trying to create anything. I was not trying to make a result or an outcome out of it. I was just noodling. I was noodling for 10 minutes. And within 6 minutes, I forgot what I was stressed out about.
Yeah.
it was like a light switch. And I was like, holy shit, that's such good evidence to have.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many different things, and everyone, if there's one thing I've noticed, everyone's just like, what do I do? I get that question all the time. And we want to turn, regulation and healing into this like other to-do list, but then we're doing it from the same energy. So it's sending the same signal to the brain. And like Ryan was just like, oh, like I had a reaction to something. It wasn't between you and I, but I had a reaction to something that was big and overwhelming. And Ryan tried to help me, and then it dysregulated him. And then I went in there and he was just doing, and he's just like, the energy with which you do things matters. And when you have this energy of like, I'm so dysregulated, I need to calm down right now. What do I need to do? It's like, no, that's the same energy. It's the same thing. It's the same loops in the brain. Problem, fix the problem. There's a threat, active threat, fix the threat. Instead of just like, I'm just gonna, what could support me right now? Like what could I do? It's gonna stay as long as it stays. It's gonna go when it's ready to go. What can I do? And he just went in and he just noodled on the piano, and he's like, oh, that was nice. And it brings you down.
Used a different part of my brain.
Yeah.
It like shut the stress down and brought something else up.
I honestly think it just shifts you out of your logical brain or your emotional. That's funny because you were probably more in your emotional brain, but if anything, I think it gets you out of your brain, whatever part of the brain we're even talking about, and into your body where you're kind of mindless instead of that like overactive mind, which would be the, coming from the emotional part of the brain. And that's what creativity does. That's why I'm telling people like, you need to get out of your head. You need to get into your body. It's not going to be what you want to do most likely, because it's going to require you to slow down and you feel like, I know I need to solve a problem. No, you don't. Not in that state that you're in. You need to go do something else. Yeah. So I love that. Just remember that what's most important when it comes to rewiring your brain and using neuroplasticity to your benefit is repetition and emotion. I think that we underestimate the power of a different predominant emotional state. Whatever your predominant one is that isn't great and isn't helping, it's not that we want to focus on being in that less. Focus on being in a different one more. We need to stop turning so much focus onto fixing the bad and making the bad go away. You have to know it's also possible to just create a new experience. That new experience will do the heavy lifting for you. We've spent way too much time funneling our focus, attention, energy, money into making problems go away and underestimating the problems go away when a new experience is created, when a new emotional state is experienced, when a new focus is introduced, because we're spending so much time focusing on the problem. And I just love that. I love anything that does the heavy lifting for me, where I can just be like, oh, I'm spending all of my time in fear. How could I spend a little bit more of my time in creativity, in joy, even if it feels a little bit forced? Because it's not going to be your default.
Yeah.
We have become kind of chemically addicted to the ones we're used to and the ones that don't serve us. Emotions is what I'm referring to, the emotional states. So know that this does take a lot of repetition, but the repetition is found in the repeated response. You're having the experience you're having because of the repeated reaction. Or, at some point, a response that you didn't really choose on purpose. And that's been repeated so many times that if you're going to counter that, you must repeat something different. And you must do that over and over and over again until that's the new groove. Until the other one, like it sparks every once in a while and then it just kind of goes out. And it's still there, but it has some weeds that have grown over it and it's not just right where we go. iPad's dying. That's how you build those new neural pathways. It's repetition. And another huge thing, and we're working on the updates right now on this within my coaching app, but intention is huge. I don't like to prescribe anything, but I do prescribe this. And it's like, you cannot just wake up and see what happens. You can't.
What do you mean?
Rolling out of bed and just going on autopilot and doing what you always do every single day is not going to cut it. You have to wake up and you have to make decisions. You have to make decisions about who you plan to be today, knowing that what's going to show up is the old way of being, the old reactions, the way you react in traffic, the way you use your voice or don't use your voice, the way you live in survival mode or slow things down. Whatever you've been doing is what you're going to keep doing. So if you find that you are fried, you are stressed out, you are constantly in survival mode, you are like you can't enjoy a moment of your life, that will be what happens today. Unless you begin creating a new intentional way to live based on what we talked about at the beginning of this, which is deciding who it is you want to be. What is the state that you want to live in? Okay, she does something different than what you do. She makes different choices, and that version of you exists, and it exists right now in this moment. But you have to start living like her today. It's not something you show up at in the future, which is another thing that is part of what I teach my clients. Because you can't really get to that place until you have some other things kind of figured out with your emotions and with your nervous system. But it's all important and it's all part of it. And the intentional is like non-negotiable. You have to wake up and make different decisions. And this doesn't have to take a long time, even dedicating 5 to 10 minutes to be like, okay, my go-to is this. And I'm not going to do that today. And I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to know that I'm going to celebrate any time I create that pause and I respond instead of react, because I know I learned on Maggie's podcast that this is the way brain rewiring works. I must change my response, and I must change my response, and I must change my response over and over and over again until that becomes the new default. It always helped me to see this in a very black and white scientific way. For as long as I've been a coach, for as long as I have worked with women, I have found comfort in understanding this isn't a wiring issue per se. I don't care that you hate it. It's not a wiring issue. It's the way wiring works. Your brain is wired the way that it's wired because that's how wiring works. You have to learn to work with your brain if you want to change it. You have to learn what you're reinforcing on accident. You need to learn how to make it work for you, and you totally can. And this is the way that starts. Creating that awareness, creating that pause, choosing to respond, being intentional, repeating it, living in the energy of who you want to be more often than forcing yourself to stop living in the energy of who you don't want to be. The focus here is very important. And you will hear me talk about that a lot. The focus moving from supporting, from fixing, to responding instead of reacting. These shifts are imperative if you are going to change the way your brain works and how you feel all the time. Pretty snoring, so I guess it's time to wrap it up. All right, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.